Uh, let's see. Hello, internet, everyone. Welcome to Play, Pause, Rewind, new media podcast. I am Dylan. This is my co-host Niles.
Hello.
Very first episode. So yeah, we're excited to start talking about movies and shows and stuff with you guys. How's it going, Niles?
Oh, it's great. I'm having a great Sunday here, and I'm excited to talk about some movies. I've never really done this kind of format of, uh, or even done a podcast in general ever before. So this is first time experience for everyone, or especially for me. And yeah, I'm just interested to talk about all this media stuff. WandaVision, all these new movies coming out. This is going to be hopefully very interesting. It's going to be at least interesting for us. So
yeah. This is also my first time doing a podcast. Just for y'all's information. So if there are technical difficulties, which there will be, please bear with us. We will get better. I promise. So
should we give them some information about our experience with media before we dive in, or
Sure, yeah, that can't hurt.
Yeah, I guess so.
I minored in film in college and participated in the creation of 3 short films. I think, yeah, 3. That sounds right. And I have my YouTube channel, D-Day Movies. Very small YouTube channel, but I love it. It's a lot of fun. And yeah, that's about the extent of my experience. I guess I've written 2 short film screenplays that have not seen the light of day. One of which absolutely never should or will see the light of day. But yeah, that's my experience so far. What about you?
Oh yeah, I mean, basically the same, except I did a minor in film. I do try to consider myself a creative person. I majored in creative writing in college, or at least undergrad. And I don't know if I'd consider myself an expert in film or media or entertainment or anything like that, because I don't have this faintest idea of what to do when I'm putting together a movie, but I can help out with creating it. And I think those aspects of media are the most interesting to me, is just the creative aspect, how everything fits together, and all the thematic elements into it, and the symbolism and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
So I hope that that's going to be some of the stuff that I pick out with this podcast. But in my past, I've done a few short films. I've done some acting. I've done some improv, of course.
Oh yes, improv. Yes.
Improv, yeah, we were both on the same improv team for about a year.
We're very funny.
Oh, so funny. Yeah, I'd say I guess we'll just see where this takes us.
Yes. Very excited. Well, that is us. And with that, let's get started. Just going through some news. First up, Godzilla versus Kong has its first trailer. Yeah, and that's pretty self-explanatory. Niles, what did you think of this trailer? And also, have you watched these movies so far? The Kong Skull Island, Godzilla, and King of the Monsters are all the 3 that have come out so far.
I watched the first Godzilla movie, and I have not seen any of the other ones. I haven't seen, Kong Skull Island or the second Godzilla movie. Monster movies have never really appealed to me. Like, I remember the first time that I did watch a King Kong movie, it was the 2004 Peter Jackson.
The Peter Jackson film. One, yeah. I haven't seen that, actually.
It's very interesting. I don't think it's like an amazing film. Absolutely. It's kind of weird that Jack Black's in it,
Yeah.
Jack. That's definitely like one of the weirder parts of it. Like, kind of takes it out of the moment, but it's still a very interesting film. And I remember
that was peak Jack Black, though. Like, that was his time.
Absolutely. I mean, any time is peak Jack Black.
He has a video game YouTube channel.
I did not.
He does. He games on YouTube, and it's awesome.
I'm gonna have to check that out.
Yeah, you should watch Kong Skull Island, though. That movie is so cool.
Absolutely.
It's in like Vietnam era, and these soldiers get kind of called in last minute. It has Tom Hiddleston, Brie Larson, John Goodman, Samuel L. Jackson, Toby Kebbell. It's really cool. Oh, John C. Reilly's in there too, and he's this World War II vet that during World War II, he and this Japanese pilot were in a dogfight and both crashed on Skull Island and have been there for 30 years.
That's cool.
Kong Skull Island, it has so much atmosphere, and the island itself is this crazy creative character. But yeah.
Yeah, I remember watching the 2004 film or whenever
Mhm.
it came out, and the island freaked me out. Like it's all those creepy crawly critters that are
Mhm.
like gigantic and they're like swallowing up people's arms like that.
The
Like,
T-Rexes.
yeah, that really stuck with me. And like I think that was far more impactful than King Kong ever could have been. The
That's
island
interesting.
itself was more interesting to me, I think.
Yeah.
But I mean, in regards to the trailer, Godzilla v Kong, I was not hyped up for this movie at all. And
Mhm.
then after seeing it, yes, I'm 100% behind it. I want to see it. I don't think that either of them will really lose. I think it'll
Uh-huh.
probably be like something where they probably have some common enemy that they got to team up against, like a Mecha
Yeah.
Godzilla or something, like some other
I have
monster.
seen theories of that for sure. The filmmakers did say there will be a definitive winner of the fight, but I also don't think that precludes them from teaming up after one of them is the definitive winner, you know.
Yeah,
I
absolutely.
I did see something interesting that I didn't think about because in Godzilla King of the Monsters, Godzilla by the end of that movie is King of the Monsters. And Kong up until this point has just been called Kong. So some people are thinking that King or Kong will beat Godzilla in this movie and then become King Kong, King of the Monsters, which would be interesting.
Yeah,
Um,
I can definitely see that because I do think that that Kong's got the maneuverability on
mhm.
Godzilla. Like
Yeah,
Godzilla's got like the radiation and
yeah.
those like
He's a slow motherfucker though.
yeah, he's
The
super
big boy.
slow and the other guy's gonna like dodge around like a boxer and just like pop, 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 get some good
Yes.
shots in on him.
Yeah, and he's got that axe.
Yeah, yeah, I'm curious about that one too,
Yeah.
where that comes from. But I mean, like I said, I was not hyped for this at all, but now after seeing that trailer, yes, I'm
Mhm.
100% into
Do you,
this, and I will be
do you
watching
think
it.
you'll go back and watch the other movies in prep?
Possibly. You know what? I did like the first Godzilla movie. I definitely
Mhm.
will go back and watch the second, like the King Kong one. But even at the time when the Godzilla came out, I was like,
Mhm.
do we really need this movie? I feel
Yeah.
like this is such an overplayed trope, or at least just like an overplayed character
Mhm.
in cinema. Like Godzilla, there's been so many Godzilla movies.
I also just don't feel like Godzilla belongs to us as Americans, specifically like because of the character's origin. But uh, that's a whole other thing that I am not qualified to dive into. But yeah, I thought King of the Monsters, the second Godzilla movie, was fine. It it doesn't Godzilla in that one didn't have quite as much weight, I felt, as he did in the first one. Because the first one was directed by Gareth Edwards, he did Rogue One also. And I think he's really good at conveying the scale of these massive things. Like that shot in Rogue One of the Death Star dish getting put on for the first time. Like you see that in the Star Destroyer next to the other. It really like it has an impact that I don't think King of the Monsters maintained. Godzilla doesn't move in quite the same way in that movie, but it is really cool. There's a lot of cool Godzilla action in it, but
Mhm.
the human characters are so bleh. And one could say they're also bleh in Kong Skull Island, but I like them. You have a lot of charismatic actors in there, and they were paid more attention than the minimum amount, so that made it. They were solid enough to carry the movie when Godzilla wasn't on screen, I thought.
Yeah.
Um, but for this new one, I think it looks really cool. I I can't say much more beyond that because
Yeah.
like it wants to be much more beyond that. It's just like you're gonna see them fight and it's gonna be great.
Well, yeah, I mean, a big action movie like that, you're just
Mhm.
going to see the action. You're not really going in for the characters. I feel like, kind of like,
I'd like to,
yeah,
honestly, because everyone says that I'd like there to always be great characters, but I also understand that's not the focus of this genre, and that's
yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah, that is a tough line to walk, because you got to tamper audience
Mhm.
expectations. But I feel like,
Yeah.
any of those bigger, action films like Transformers or even like Pacific Rim, I feel like people are
Mhm.
going there for the action.
Yeah, that's true.
And the characters are like secondary, but yeah, I feel like you still do need like a good character to
Mhm.
carry out the story. Like, in the first Godzilla movie, you had the son of Bryan
Right.
Cranston's character as the main
Probably
character.
should have been Bryan Cranston's character, honestly.
Absolutely, it should have had. He was the big draw in, and then they
Mhm.
did a total
Yeah.
swap out right there.
Yeah, I think Pacific Rim actually does characters pretty well. They're not complex, but they're all fun and you're rooting for them. And when Idris Elba tells you they're going to cancel the apocalypse, you're like, yes, I want you to do that, please.
Yeah.
The second Pacific Rim did not do its characters very well, I thought, but that's
Yeah.
that's a whole other discussion.
Oh well.
Yeah, but I'm on board for Godzilla versus Kong. I think it's gonna be a good time.
Yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be a good movie to watch. Looking forward to it.
So next we've got the newest trailer for Raya and the Last Dragon, the new Disney animated film that's coming up, starring Kelly Marie Tran, who is Rose from Star Wars. Glad to see her back in Disney stuff. That's great. I kind of shorted there. But what did you think? Did you enjoy this trailer? Are you looking forward to this?
Yeah, I did enjoy the trailer. I mean, it's Disney has so much content these days, like between Disney Plus and the movies and everything they're doing, repurposing those old movies into live action ones. They have so much content, and it's difficult sometimes for me to differentiate between some of the films, or even be like, that one was memorable. That one I don't really remember watching as much. And sometimes I feel like they pump out really awesome films. Like I still need to watch Disney Soul, and I've just heard nothing.
Oh yeah, the new Pixar one. It's great. I really like Soul.
Yeah, Pixar, excuse me.
Yeah.
But there's so much. Yeah, there's so much good content out there. But I feel like there's so many Disney films and so many Pixar films that, like, just from the trailer, I can say that looks like shit. That does not look very good. Like, the Croods, I feel like that just looks like garbage to me. So I'm never gonna see it. But this one,
both Croods.
Yeah, both of them. Yeah, but this, Raya and the Last Dragon, this does look kind of cool. It's showing us a different side of the world that we don't really see in a lot of Pixar films. I feel like.
This is Disney. This isn't Pixar.
Or Disney, thank you.
This is Disney animation. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they're exploring something that's a little bit different.
Not Eurocentric for like.
Yeah, not It's it's looking a little bit more at Asian culture, and that's something that's very always been interesting to me. Of course,
Yeah.
Even Mulan. I watched that.
Yeah.
The old one.
The old one. Yeah. I have not watched the new one. I don't know if you.
Me neither. I'm never gonna watch that. I think.
Same with the Lion King. I didn't bother to watch the new Lion King. I just.
Yeah, of course. But I really do like the old Mulan because it's so different.
Yeah, and this looks even super different from that. It doesn't look like they're trying to ape off the success of their previous stuff here.
Absolutely.
I think it looks really neat, and I don't like this trailer as much as I like the first one, the teaser trailer. But this gives a lot more information about what the movie's about. And I like that.
Yeah.
It looks really pretty too. Just I don't think Disney makes poorly animated things in their animation department, either Disney Animation or Pixar, and both Frozen and what was the other one that they Moana. Frozen and Moana were both great. So
yeah, and I mean, it's nice to see a movie that's like looks like exclusively female characters from what I saw from the trailer.
There are a couple. There's the eye patch dude in there.
Oh yeah, there's still those male.
The
characters.
leads are female. That's nice.
Yeah, the leads are all female, which is very awesome to see. It's nice to see some good female representation. Because I don't want to see another movie about just like some white guy who looks like me just trying to make his way through the world. It's nice to see a diversity of stories being told, and
it's very true.
Even though the male characters are still there,
yeah,
more secondary characters, and I like to see that. And I liked her weapon too. It was very Soul Calibur-ish,
Oh yeah, that sword.
Yeah, it's like it changes into a whip, and it's like there was a character in Soul Calibur that I can't remember her name, but like she just had like heaving breasts, and it was like that was always like the drawing for
Niles.
me. But her sword, change into a whip and do all these cool things. So that's gonna be that's really
super cool.
And I'm interested in that sword that Raya has got.
Her little animal companion too, or I guess big animal companion. In the first trailer, it was little. It was like a little tiny guy, and then it gets bigger.
Yeah, and the baby thing is an interesting thing as
Con
well.
baby.
Yeah, a cod baby. She's all
Yeah,
business.
I guess if I got played by a baby, I would recruit it for my team too. You know,
Oh yeah, one that can run and do all these athletic things with a
and
bunch
can
of
apparently
animals.
speak with animals.
Yeah, of course that thing needs to be in my crew.
Yes, I'm very on board for this movie. I think it's going to be great.
Yeah, this will be interesting to watch. Like I'm always hesitant to watch like Disney or a lot of Disney films, but after seeing the trailer,
Yeah.
I'm into this.
I'm more hesitant for their live action stuff than I am for the animated. I think
Yeah,
they
that's
knocked it out of the park in animation, but aside from, I mean, Marvel and Star Wars are Disney now, but aside of that, their live action stuff hasn't really appealed to me, except for, well, some of them have. I've heard the live action Cinderella is really good, but I haven't gotten around to watching it yet.
Yeah, me neither.
It's got Lily James as Cinderella, and then Richard Madden, Rob Stark is the prince. So
Oh yes, I do remember seeing a trailer for that.
I think Helena Bonham Carter is the fairy godmother in that also. It's like
That's kind of cool.
that's a really good cast, and apparently that's one of the better done live action remakes.
She would be a great fairy godmother. Oh, that'd be fun.
Yeah, I need to watch that.
Yeah, I might just watch it now for her. That's it. Like I love Helena Bonham Carter in anything.
She is so good. All right, next up, very different. I knew nothing about this movie until I saw the trailer pop up like 3 days ago. The trailer for the movie The Courier, starring Benedict Cumberbatch and Rachel Brosnahan from House of Cards. She was her name Rachel in House of Cards? I think it was.
I don't remember her character.
She was the girl that Doug was in love with for a while.
Oh.
Mm-hmm.
What a sad story.
That was a very, very sad story. But it stars both of them, and it is about Benedict Cumberbatch is an English salesman. This is during the Cold War era, and he is tasked by, I guess, the British intelligence to go undercover in Russia as a salesman, but secretly be spying on the Russians, on the KGB. And I think this looks very intense. I liked it. I like a good spy movie. What did you think?
Yeah, me too. I like a good spy movie too. And Benadryl Cumberbund, he's
Oh my god.
he's a fantastic actor. Sometimes it is difficult for me to separate him from other roles. You know what I mean? Like I've seen him like in so many or starred in so many films. Like The Imitation Game, Doctor Strange,
Sherlock.
Sherlock. He's done so many great roles. He's such a amazing actor. So I hope that he has a very distinct character in this role that's like a little bit different from his other ones.
Yeah, it lets him sink a little bit more.
Yeah, because he always seems to be playing this quick-witted, smart, intelligent British guy.
Yeah, that's true.
So hopefully this time it's going to be a little bit different because it's a different role for him. He's the undercover businessman, but a spy trailer or a spy movie, excuse me, is always a very interesting thing to watch for me.
Yeah, he does his character seems less sure of himself in this because he is just a salesman being put in an extraordinary situation, which is always fun. It's always fun to see a character who's unprepared for what they're getting into kind of rise to the occasion. And I'm interested to see because it seems like he wants to get this Russian guy out at some point based on the trailer. And maybe that's going to be a really interesting dynamic and relationship in the movie. Nothing really to say about it yet because we just don't know. But
yeah. I always love Cold War pieces too. Like any pieces that are like placed in the Cold War era are can be so interesting.
Yeah.
Even if it touches barely on like the spy aspect or KGB aspect of Cold War, it's still interesting to look at that time period because I just wasn't alive for it, and neither were you. So.
No, I very much was not.
Yeah, we're a little bit young. We're we're just graduating.
We're millennial to Gen Z. We're on that threshold.
Yeah, so we have very little knowledge of what the Cold War era was. So anytime we can get a good glimpse into it is
and it's not as overplayed as World War II in movies.
Yeah, there's so many World War II movies.
I love a good World War II movie, but there are quite a few.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I mean, this looks like it'll be a good movie. I hadn't heard anything about it before this morning.
I know, right? I love when a movie comes out of nowhere and it's looks good. So here's fingers crossed that it is good.
Yeah.
So next up we have the trailer for Superman and Lois, and this is a continuation of the CW's Arrowverse superhero shared universe thing. And this is the first teaser trailer we've seen of Tyler Hoechlin's Superman show. Yeah, and I'll leave it to you first. What do you think? Impressions?
You know, you're more into the CW
shows. We're coming
at
this from two very different angles.
Absolutely, yeah. You know, you're way more in the CW shows than I am. Mm-hmm. I remember, you know, I did enjoy Arrow when I was watching it with you, but it did feel a little bit soap opera-y, you know, as. And I'm sure things have definitely changed in that universe. You can definitely speak a little bit more to that. But, you know, looking on this trailer, just like on a, you know, coming from that outside perspective, I feel like, you know, Superman is definitely a story that's been told to death. You know, it's kind of like the Bible. You know, it's been told 7 different ways over, you know, like a rap verse or, you know, there's so many different ways, you know, that Superman has already been told, you know, in print and in other visual mediums. So, you know, I'm always a little bit on the fence to dive into another Superman story, but, you know, judging from the trailer, this, you know, did kind of seem interesting to me. You know, the way he commented on his the way that he couldn't drink or that he couldn't get drunk, you know, like oh yeah, that's right, he definitely couldn't get drunk. Like
you cannot get drunk.
He could probably drink a whole fifth of scotch and not feel anything because he's Superman. So you know, I do hope that the show looks at the relationship of Superman and Lois in a more realistic perspective, you know, just basing off of that, you know, one line that he had.
Right. And they've both shown up previously several times, or Tyler Hoechlin has showed up as Superman several times over the years in Supergirl and their most recent like big crossover episodes, and he's really great as Superman. I like Henry Cavill as an actor a lot, but I'm not a fan of that take on the character. He's just sad all the time. And
you mean Cavill?
Yeah, Cavill's character. And we've seen Henry Cavill be charismatic and fun in other things. Like he's great as Geralt in The Witcher, but I just am not a fan of that take on Superman. I think it's a little too negative for my personal taste. So I like Hoechlin's as a counterbalance to that. And I'm blanking on her name, but the actress who plays Lois was really enjoyable when she showed up as well. And I think the show looks really, really nice. It seems like it has elements of that darker take on the character that the Snyder version has, but this version of Superman is more positive. So I think he'll kind of deal with those in a more positive and healthy way. And it looks like their kids are teenagers now, and the last we saw them in the Arrowverse, they were just being born.
Oh, those are his kids.
Those are his kids, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So does that change your understanding a little bit?
A little bit, yeah. I was like, who the fuck are these kids?
Yeah, and you're right. I have been watching the CW shows. I've watched everything that came out through when they had to shut down for COVID.
Wow.
And I really want to watch this show, but I think I'm just getting burnt out on the CW superhero stuff. There's just so much of it, and it is mostly good. It is a soap opera. That is their format, like soap opera, but with leather costumes and crime fighting. That's their thing, and I think that's fine. They lean into it, but I'll finish up Supergirl. That has 1 season left. I think that show's really fun. Legends of Tomorrow is just bonkers wonder. So I will keep watching Legends. But I didn't like The Flash last year at all. I thought it was really bad, honestly.
Oh, no.
And the most recent crossover they had, which is one of DC's most famous comic book arcs, they started teasing it a year in advance. and I was very excited. I was like, oh, holy shit, this is gonna be great. And
Mhm.
Arrow's final season was all building up to it, and that was great. And I just thought the crossover itself was a total dud.
Oh no.
Yeah, and it just I watched the rest of each of the seasons, and Legends was good, Supergirl was good, Batwoman started to find some ground, and I actually was really enjoying it by the end. But then Ruby Rose quit, so they lost their Batwoman, and now they have a new Batwoman. They didn't recast; they made it a new character, which I should have looked up her name before, but she is a person of color, which is great. But now the problem is a big part of the show in season 1 was Bruce Wayne is gone. We don't know where he is or why he's gone. And now Kate Kane is also now gone, presumed dead. So you have your Batwoman universe where Batman is missing, Batwoman is missing. Now there's a new Batwoman, and the whole supporting cast was like Kate Kane's family members or ex-girlfriends. And now there's just a new character not related to them that is the new Batwoman. So I should give it a shot, but I think I may be tapering off of the CW stuff
Yeah.
overall. It's
so much because they got
well, and they have Black Lightning as part of the universe now too. And Black Lightning, from what I've seen, is really good. But now it's what you got. You got Flash, Legends, Supergirl, Black Lightning, Batwoman, and then Superman and Lois. That's 6 television shows that
that's so much. I mean,
so much. That's the only problem. There's just too much of it. It was manageable back when it was just 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Because it's like you'd watch, and they'd be on the same night. So it's like you'd watch 2-hour blocks of TV, and that's a lot of TV. But it's that's not that bad. Now it's just too much.
Yeah. Well,
Anyway.
I heard like something about like maybe like a Black Canary show or something that they were thinking.
Oh yeah, it was gonna. They canceled that, sadly.
Okay. That would be way too much content.
So, slight Arrow spoilers. I guess this is not a slight spoiler. It's a big Arrow spoiler, but the show's over. So in the final second to last season of Arrow, actually, you know how Arrow used to always have flashbacks to Oliver's time on the island?
Yeah.
So it the first episode of the second to last season, I think it was season 6, we're following this dude going to Lian-Yu, the island that Oliver was on. And you're like, who's this character we're following in this year's flashbacks? And then at the end of the episode, it's he runs into Roy. You remember Roy?
Roy, yes.
Yeah. And it turns out the guy we've been following is Oliver's now adult son. So it wasn't a flashback, it was a flash forward. And you end up meeting all these, you meet like Diggle's kid, and Oliver's son is one of the main characters, and a couple other characters' kids are in there. Star City has gone to shit. It's like a dystopian like place. It's like the rich people live in this walled off. They live in the Glades. You remember the sketchy town from? It's like flipped now. The Glades is the elite closed off area, and the rest of the city sucks. But you meet Oliver's daughter as well, and by the end of the show, she takes up the Green Arrow moniker and ends up through like time travel shenanigans or something. She and New Laurel and the other Black Canary all team up, and it's like Green Arrow and the Canaries. And they did a backdoor pilot, and then there was no word on it. And like 3 weeks ago, it got canceled officially. So
okay, that's interesting. That would have been an interesting spinoff for sure.
Yeah, but their reasoning was that as they were writing it, they started realizing there's not enough differentiating this from what Arrow was, and so they were kind of like, we don't want to just make the same show again.
That's fair.
Kind of a bummer, but I respect the decision too.
Yeah. Well, they have no surplus. They have no shortage of superhero shows right now. So
they have plenty, arguably too many.
Yeah.
I think we've talked enough about the CW.
Yeah, let's move on to the next thing.
Yeah. Shorter story, but Thor: Love and Thunder has officially started production in Australia. They're shooting.
Excellent.
So we've got Chris Hemsworth is back as Thor. Tessa Thompson is coming back as Valkyrie. Nice. Natalie Portman is returning as Jane Foster and Thor, because they're adapting the arc where Jane Foster wields the hammer and becomes Thor. And also, Christian Bale is cast as the villain, Gore the God Butcher, which should be very fun.
Oh, I hadn't heard about that one. That's
Yeah.
interesting
And
character.
Jamie Alexander is also back as Lady Sif, one of Thor's like Asgardian god friends. She's the goddess of war in Norse mythology. But yeah, I'll talk about it a little bit later. But I started reading the comic book arcs of that include Gore the God Butcher and the Jane Foster Thor. I've just gotten to the point where Thor becomes unworthy for whatever reason. I'm not entirely sure what they're saying yet, but the last panel of that book shows. I mean, we know it's Jane Foster now from history, but when she first shows up in the book, it is just a female wielding the hammer and wearing the armor. So that's where I am, and I took a break to read a different book, but.
Well, it's good that you're reading those because I've never touched a Thor comic in my life.
I hadn't either, but I've really been enjoying these.
Yeah. Well, it's good that we'll have you in the house as like a subject matter expert when
yes, expert.
the movie comes out and we can watch it and be like,
yeah.
Oh.
So any thoughts on Thor: Love and Thunder? I mean, there's not.
I'm excited for this film. I can't stress that enough. Ragnarok was amazing,
and Taika Waititi is back. This is not the Taika
Waititi one. He is one of the best directors like living right now. He's amazing.
He's so good. He's such a creative dude.
Yeah, he's wonderful, and I can't wait to see what he does with this one, especially with a name like Love and Thunder. Right? I feel like there's gonna be some comedy. There's going to be some interesting plot elements, with Jane Foster becoming a Thor, and it'll be nice to see you. I assume Waititi's character is coming back too.
Oh, Korg, yeah, I think he's in it. Korg has to be there. Korg and Meek.
He has to be, assuming he wasn't butchered by Thanos.
Well, he's still alive. Remember, he was playing Fortnite in Thor's house. And
that's right. He was. Yeah, thank you.
God, we're such fucking nerds.
That's not a problem. Everyone's a nerd these days. So
yeah, I feel like if anyone's made it this far in this podcast, they're also into this stuff. So
absolutely, yes. I mean, this is going to be a fun movie to watch. I'll definitely be watching this in theaters if I can. COVID allowing.
Yeah, I mean, it's still a ways off. So they just started filming. So
yeah,
if we're not through COVID by then, I'll be very, very, very sad.
We'll have bigger things to deal with.
Yeah, I won't be thinking about Thor quite so much.
Yeah.
I'm excited Waititi's coming back too. And one thing that's interesting to me is in the comic books, Thor becomes unworthy to wield Mjolnir, so he can't lift it anymore, and Jane becomes worthy. But in the movies, Mjolnir is gone; it's destroyed. So is it going to be an alternate universe Jane? I kind of hope it's the main universe Jane, because Thor and her have a relationship that's existed. But like Mjolnir must be either reforged or from a different universe or something like that for that to come into play. The only thing I don't want them to do is I don't want Thor to be unworthy, because dude has been through enough shit already. Like, his mom died, his dad died, his brother died, his planet blown up, half his people got massacred, and then he like failed and let half of the universe die. And then after all of that, in Endgame, he was still worthy to wield the hammer. So it's like, don't take that from this version of Thor. This poor guy who has had his world shattered.
Yeah.
But I think Waititi's smarter than that.
Yeah. Well, I could definitely see the alternate universe angle coming into play with WandaVision and Doctor Strange 2.
Yeah.
Like, I think they're definitely setting it up to where
multiverse is coming into play.
Multiverse. Like,
and Spider-Man even mentioned it in Far From Home, because remember Beck's cover story was that he was from a different version of Earth. And Peter was like, "Oh my God, it's like the multiverse!" Blah, blah, blah. So it's being teased. They're definitely going to bring it in soon. I mean, one of the movies is called Multiverse of Madness, which is just delightful.
Of course. Yeah, and I mean, I agree with you on the Thor point. Yeah, I don't want him to be like unworthy, because he's already had so many like crises of consciousness or whatever. He's had like a crisis of conscious like on repeat. Every single movie he's been in, it's kind of been like, am I worthy or not? Am I worthy or not? And like every time he's been worthy by the end of the story. So yeah, I agree. I don't.
I think it would be a bit of a betrayal of the stories that have been told so far for him to be unworthy, unless he just does something really bad at the start of the movie. But I don't know. I don't think he. I'm curious to see how they handle it, because Mjolnir has to be part of it. Mjolnir is the hammer, if anyone's watching this and doesn't know. And because that's what grants someone the power of, maybe not, I don't know. I'm not well versed in comic books. I'm sorry, guys.
We'll get there.
Yeah.
It's a learning experience for everyone.
One, and while we're talking about Thor, I want to mention too, just as much as I love the MCU, and I really do, and I love Infinity War and Endgame specifically, I think Thor is a really interesting case study of where the shared universe style of storytelling can kind of be a disservice to a character, because Thor Ragnarok, the end of that movie, is the perfect ending for Thor as a character. It's like it ends with him, Loki, Heimdall, and Valkyrie and Hulk on the ship flying away. And he's learned the lesson, like, Asgard isn't a place, it's the people. And he's finally become king. And it brings that musical theme back from the first movie when he was like, when it first introduces Asgard. And it's like, that's a perfect sign off point for this character. Like, you shouldn't make more Thor movies after that. But for the service of the shared universe, you got to. And Infinity War comes in and kind of wrecks everything that Thor had just achieved in the previous 10 minutes of movie. And that's okay. Ultimately, I think Waititi and Hemsworth and crew are responsible enough and care enough about the character to give him new adventures now. But I thought about that for a long time with regard to Thor, and I wanted to say it somewhere.
Yeah, I like that. That's good.
Yeah.
Should we move on to the next thing then?
I think we should. So I hope you like Game of Thrones, because there's going to be a lot of it soon.
Yay!
So we have two separate reports here. One, the Hollywood Reporter has gotten a exclusive report that I think was exclusive, that there is an upcoming Game of Thrones animated series, and Variety reported that the Tales of Dunk and Egg novellas that George R. R. Martin has written are going to be adapted into a separate live action series. Very little is known about either of these at this point. These are initial reports that these are happening. And also, these are both happening in addition to the House of the Dragon, which is another Game of Thrones series about the Targaryen Civil War, I think. And it's starring Matt Smith and other people. So, so much Game of Thrones.
Yeah, that's a lot.
What are your thoughts about all of this?
I'm conflicted, man. I'm so conflicted about this because, Game of Thrones has had its time in the sun. It's had a nice 8 or 9 years, however long it was.
Yeah.
That it was like being premiered and the hype was building and stuff where it's like everyone was going crazy for Game of Thrones for so many years there, and it was an amazing series. With the exception of the last 2 seasons.
Yeah.
Which I think a lot of people agree with.
But, I liked everything until the last 3 episodes, but I think most people are in agreement with you that it got weaker towards the last couple.
Yeah, season 7 wasn't the best one, but it was still all right. I still liked season 7. And then, season 8, those last 3 episodes were just...
They fucked it. They fucked it so hard. It
was not the ending it deserved. And, I think that took a lot of the Game of Thrones out of me, and the fact that I'm waiting on George R. R. Martin to finish those last 2 books and finally publish them, that's kind of been, I don't know. I feel like that has definitely taken a lot of the hype out of it for me. Taken out of a lot of the interest out. There's so many different fantasy series out there. Why should we focus so much on the Game of Thrones world? When there's stuff like even Mistborn, that book that you were reading, like that could be a cool animated series or something like that.
Yeah. Well, the author is writing a screenplay for that, and he wants to make a movie, because it's I'm gonna say once you read the book, you'll see it's very much a heist story, and heist movies are just a lot of fun.
Totally.
But Yeah, I agree. I'll tell you why there's more Game of Thrones coming, though, because apparently HBO lost a huge percentage of their subscribers after Game of Thrones ended, and they want them back. uh, but I agree. This is so much. Um, three Game of Thrones shows. Like the House of the Dragon was already more than I needed because I think I'm like you. I got the show. I got Game of Thrones, and whenever George R. R. Martin finishes the books, if he chooses to, I will read those. But I mean, it's a cool premise to see the Targaryen family again. An animated series. I like animated series. If it's good, whatever, that's great. Uh, Tales of Dunk and Egg is actually the one I find the most interesting. I recently read the novellas. Actually, I have the collection of them, the book Night of the Seven Kingdoms, and it's interesting to me because it is as lighthearted as the Song of Ice and Fire world can be. I think it's you follow Sir Duncan the Tall and his squire Egg, who is really Prince Aegon Targaryen. It's a twist from early on in the story. It's fine. And they just kind of each novella is just them on a different little adventure doing stuff.
Oh yeah,
that could be cool. And there are 3 novellas written now, and George R. R. Martin is writing more. He plans to do a lot of them, and it's Westeros in like a time of peace, in the middle of the Targaryen dynasty. Like things are as good as they get in Westeros, so that's kind of intriguing because it's a totally different feel from when Game of Thrones was set, where it's all of the shit is hitting a fan all of the time. You got the 5 kings, and then that's done, and then there's more war, and there are White Walkers and dragons and slavers and all this stuff, which makes for a great show. But yeah, I'm hesitant at the amount of Game of Thrones that's upcoming.
It's a lot.
I get it from the business perspective, like it's a hugely valuable IP, but whatever.
Well, I feel like it's definitely like I could definitely get behind Dunk and Egg. That sounds interesting. The House of Targaryen or House of Dragon, whatever it is. That does sound interesting as well. The animated series, I don't know as much. What I think HBO really should do instead is focus on new projects. Get something else in there that's going to be like grow your subscriber base again. Yeah.
I think they were hoping for that with His Dark Materials, the Golden Compass show, and I haven't watched season 2 yet, but season 1 was really good, but I think it's not performing to the degree that they wanted. I think they wanted another Game of Thrones, and I just haven't seen people talking about it enough for it to be that. So maybe they were trying that for a while. They were trying new stuff, and it just hasn't done the business they need it to. Which
definitely seems like it. Yeah, because I still need to watch Lovecraft Country.
Oh, I've heard that's so cool.
Yeah, and I think that was probably another show that they were hoping would be a good replacement because it looks so weird. It looks so different. Like, and I mean, Jordan Peele's on it. Jordan Peele's like, anything he does is amazing. So
yeah, he's a master.
Yeah, so maybe they just needed another like Sopranos or The Wire or something.
Well, and Watchmen was a big hit for them, but Watchmen was one season and it was only intended as one season, so they can't I'm sure HBO was trying to be like, hey, want to do a season 2? And they said no, because they shouldn't. It's a perfect ending for that show.
Yeah, I really did want to see what happened next after. I don't want to spoil that, but I was really hoping something else would happen afterwards.
We should talk about Watchmen at some point on this show.
Absolutely, that was such a fantastic series. I'd love to talk about that.
It'd be great to do like a main segment on the comic, the movie, and the show, and talk about how they all tie together and everything like that.
That's a good idea. We should do that.
Yeah.
Should we move on to the next?
Yeah. Anything. I think Game of Thrones. A lot of it coming up.
Game of Thrones. Yeah, it's enough. Enough already.
Yeah. This is a shorter story. The Cannes Film Festival has been postponed to July due to COVID. Let's see if that even can happen. Last year's was canceled. This year's was back. I wouldn't hold my breath for this to actually happen, but
I never really paid attention to those film festivals before. So it's that really doesn't matter a whole
Well,
lot
we
to
can't go.
me,
It's in France. Oh, hold on.
if I'm being honest.
Say that again. You cut out a little bit.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, nothing. Yeah, of course. Yeah, it's in France. Yeah, we can't go, of course, but yeah, it's not like my interest for sharing
Right.
film.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't have much to say about it. It's just
Yeah, it's just
postponed.
there.
The world is on fire figuratively after it was literally on fire a little while ago. It's a terrible, terrible time.
Yeah, the closest I'll get to going to Canes is like, going to the Aztec or something like that, or like
Yeah.
some small boutique movie theater
Yeah.
here in Denver, and just
Mm-hmm.
for like an indie movie or something like that. That's like the
Right.
closest I'll ever come to going to a film festival.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, next story. And I only included this because it's kind of funny, and AMC Theaters plays into it. So AMC Theaters stock surged pretty high earlier this week in the wake of the GameStop stock skyrocketing. And if you don't know about this story, it's basically the subreddit Wall Street Bets decided, hey, a bunch of these hedge funds are shorting GameStop and AMC and Bed Bath and Beyond, all these other companies, and it would be pretty funny if we just screwed over their investments on this by buying a ton of it, and they did, to the point where Robinhood, Ameritrade, and other trading apps shut down the ability for retail traders like me to trade. This was a shit show. I think it was really funny. But it also apparently kind of saved AMC theaters, because they've been saying for the last couple months that they weren't sure they were going to make it through January. And now, as a result of this, they're looking at gathering additional funding or something and may survive, which is
that's great.
Insanity. Yeah, and that they're one of the biggest theater chains in the country. If they're not doing well, that's a signal for the fact that the rest of the theater industry is not doing well for obvious reasons. And I don't know. I like going to the movie theaters. I'm kind of a purist when it comes to that, and I want them to survive. So.
Oh yeah, there's nothing quite like going to a movie on like a Sunday afternoon.
No, yeah.
Taking your time, getting there, getting some snacks beforehand, and then come sneaking them into the theater, and just sitting down and watching the previews. Oh, there's nothing quite like that experience.
Yeah, and especially on these bigger movies, like I watched Wonder Woman 84 at home with my family on Christmas, which was great that we were able to do that, but it's not the same. You don't get that energy. Like when we saw Endgame opening night with a bunch of our friends, that was something I have never experienced before. The amount of energy in a theater, like everyone's feeling the same emotion, and people were cheering, screaming. It was insane, and I hate that shit. But that night, it was like, this is how we should be reacting. And you can't get that at home when you're just watching it by yourself. And obviously, don't go to the theaters right now. Even if you can, just don't. But it's, that experience can't be replaced. And I think it's great that a lot of movies are releasing on digital too, because some people can't go to the movies. But
yeah, it's a little dangerous. And I mean, yeah, I do want to see the movie theaters survive as well. I was very happy to see that news that the stock went up. I sold my shares, my 4 AMC shares, and made like $50. So
nice.
Happy about that.
Yeah, you know this already, but for the audience's sake, I had 2 shares of GameStop, and I sold them 2 weeks ago, and I made like $70. That's great. It's like, oh, that's the highest it's been in 6 years. This is the best time to sell. No, apparently not.
Dang.
Yeah,
like $1,000 at least or something.
Yeah, I mean, you can't predict something like this. I guess I could if I spent time on Reddit, but I don't. So
maybe we should invest in Reddit, or
invest in Reddit.
Yeah,
Yes, Reddit is the next stock.
Let's just buy a bunch of penny stocks and just hope that they go somewhere.
Dogecoin.
Hey, Dogecoin. Yeah, I did buy some the other day. I'm like, hope it goes up. Let's see.
Yeah. I have some that I bought as a joke like 2 years ago. So fingers crossed.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Right. Me too.
All right. Well, enough about Wall Street.
Yeah. We're not qualified enough to talk about Wall Street anyway.
Yeah.
So.
No, not at all. Last bit of news. Oh, you're frozen a little bit. Let's let that play out. Sorry, guys. We're still working through technical.
I'm good.
Okay, you're back. Great. So last bit of news: the Snyder Cut, also officially known as Zack Snyder's Justice League, has a release date of March 18th. It was, for the longest time, it was going to be a 4-part mini series on HBO Max. That is no longer the case. It is now a 4-hour movie. How do you feel about that? You ready for this?
Man, and I thought since through like Avatar was bad or like
Yeah.
Titanic, this is gonna be a long 4 hours, man. Like, or even The Irishman. I didn't even watch The Irishman.
I did. The Irishman is great. It's I'll get into more what I mean by this in a second, but it's that movie should not have been that long, The Irishman. Yeah. And I can explain that in a second. But any other thoughts on Snyder Cut?
I'm definitely excited to watch it, and I definitely will watch it, even if it is 4 hours. That'll just be a long Sunday afternoon watching this movie. It'll be, I didn't really enjoy Justice League too much. Like, it was a fine movie when I watched it, but I remember it being kind of unfocused. I remember being like not super interested in like the villain or
he sucked.
Characters.
What sucks even the most about him is he's played by I don't know how to say his name properly. Ciaran Hinds, who was Mance Rayder in Game of Thrones.
Oh,
he's
cool.
a great actor. Totally wasted on that monster.
Mance Rayder was so terrifying. Even Mance Rayder was more terrifying than.
Yeah, and he's like terrifying and a nice guy at the same time. Yeah. He's a good person, but he's supposed. Yeah, but yeah, I agree. I will watch this, and I'm interested to see it. What I meant about The Irishman too, just having seen it, The Irishman as an experience, I think it benefited from its super long running time, but because it's when you finish it, I watched it with my cousin. We watched it all, and we like ate breakfast and then watched this whole movie. And by the end of it, you feel like you've gone on this huge journey across this man's life because you did, and the length is a positive factor in that. But as a film itself, I think there's a section in the middle of it that's probably an hour and a half of the movie where Al Pacino's in it playing Jimmy Hoffa. And that is the best part of the movie by far. And I think that's what the movie should have been. It beef up the Jimmy Hoffa and Frank stuff and the relationship with his daughter. And if you've seen the movie, you know why all these things tie in together. And that should have been the movie. Instead, I think Scorsese wanted to tell this man's life story, and he did, which is awesome that he got to do that. But I think the movie, in terms of pacing, should have been more focused. But and that's a worry I have with Snyder Cut too, is this, I think it's going to be unfocused. I think there's going to be too much going on. 4 hours, this movie does not need 4 hours. If the Avengers didn't need 4 hours, I don't think this does either.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's some advantage. Like, the Avengers had some advantages because they had those standalone movies for all the characters.
Yeah, that's fair. You don't have to introduce who these people are, but I mean, maybe DC should have gone that route too. And you don't need to. Like, Guardians of the Galaxy works just fine, and Ocean 11 works just fine, and you don't introduce any of those characters ahead of time. But also some of them are in smaller roles, and that's okay. But how do you feel about Zack Snyder's work overall, and specifically his other DC movies, Man of Steel and Batman v Superman?
I like Zack Snyder overall. Definitely uses slow-mo way too much.
Yes.
Just watch Watchmen. Just watch 300.
Yeah, although not in his DC movies, interestingly.
Yeah.
The Watchmen is technically DC, but it's its own thing.
Yeah, so entirely separate, I'd say. But I feel like Snyder, overall, I do like the darker feel for Man of Steel and Batman v Superman. Like, it is nice to kind of put it in that context of like, oh yeah, like Superman, look at him up there destroying all of this fucking property and like causing all this collateral damage. That's kind of my motivation. or Batman's motivation to
Mm-hmm.
go after him. And I do like that darker tone to it. And I did like Justice League overall,
Yeah.
even when it wasn't his Justice League.
Mm-hmm.
I just hope that in this version, the extra information that he's adding in there isn't just like a whole bunch of special effects. I
Yeah.
hope it's like some character developments. Like I get to know a little bit more about Cyborg.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, speaking of
Flash.
Cyborg, actually, we should mention Ray Fisher, the actor who plays Cyborg.
Right.
Have you heard about this at all? This whole
A
saga?
little bit. Why
So
don't you refresh me?
yeah, so he has been basically fired from the Flash movie. He is no longer Cyborg because
Wow.
he went to his superiors at Warner Brothers, talked about basically alleged that there was kind of abuse on set from Jeff Johns and Joss Whedon, who Joss Whedon, director of the Avengers Age of Ultron, Firefly, he came on to direct Justice League after Snyder left the project for personal reasons. His daughter committed suicide. And he stepped away from the project either voluntarily or because Warner Brothers forced him. It was a whole thing. But important note, Ray Fisher has been fighting this battle for a long time, and don't his thing is accountability before entertainment, and I agree. And I think it seems like Joss Whedon has been removed. He was working on Batgirl. He no longer is working on Batgirl, but Jeff Johns is still there in some capacity. So that's important to note. And this is also all alleged, just to protect ourselves. I don't want to get sued or anything. Not that they would, but who knows. But yeah, I agree. I would like more character development stuff. Martian Manhunter's in this version. I don't know if you knew that.
I did not. That sounds interesting to me.
Yeah, the like army general guy who's in both Man of Steel and BVS. He's apparently Martian Manhunter in disguise. So
cool. That's
yeah,
excellent.
So that could be fun. But I think it's cool that Snyder is getting to make his movie. I'm not a fan of Man of Steel or Batman v Superman. But I like Watchmen. I Watchmen as a movie, as an adaptation of the comic book. It is completely atrocious. It misses the point entirely. But it is a fun. No, not fun. It's not fun, but it is a good superhero movie. It just kind of misses the point of the book. In a lot of ways.
Yeah, I'd agree. Yeah, and I'd agree about like Man of Steel and Batman v Superman. They're not my favorite movies, and like they're not super memorable. I mean, I'm sure other people disagree with that statement.
Yeah, there are some hardcore fans of these movies.
Yeah, I mean, just to me at least, when I think back on Batman v Superman, what do I really remember? I remember the kind of
Jesse Eisenberg force feeding a man a Jolly Rancher.
I don't remember that.
That happens. I remember as a guy and he just puts Jolly Rancher in his mouth. It's really weird.
Okay.
Yeah. That's my reaction to everything Lex Luthor in that movie. Just, whew, okay.
If that's what you want to do, dude.
Yeah.
I'm not going to stop you.
I wasn't a fan of that portrayal of Lex, honestly, but.
I mean, I do want to see like, the DC universe move forward because, they've kind of teased the Legion of Doom,
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's true. In teaser. And like Joe Manganiello as Deathstroke, he'll be great.
Yeah,
they dyed his hair though. His natural hair looks perfect for Deathstroke, but
whatever. Yeah. So I mean, it would be cool to see them become part of like a Justice League 2 or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, they got a lot they got to work on though, because Ben Affleck is no longer Batman. Henry Cavill may not be Superman anymore, depending on how contracts work out. But like they're busy now, and they've got Robert Pattinson coming up in The Batman.
That I'm excited for.
Yeah, that looks good. But and the Snyder fandom is I'm so conflicted about it because on the one hand they've donated and raised a lot of money for suicide prevention awareness, which is amazing, but they've also harassed a lot of creators at Warner Brothers over the years. So it's like, guys, and I'm sure there are two different sects of that fandom, but it's it's frustrating, and it's cool to see Zack Snyder get his vision made.
Absolutely.
I don't think this will be good, but I think it will be bad in different ways than original Justice League was. I'm really interested to compare the two and sort of see. I think it'll be a good like learning exercise in superhero filmmaking. It's like two different flavors of bad. Why is bad?
Yeah. Well, I definitely think there'll probably be some redeeming qualities to his
Yeah,
shot.
yeah.
That
There were redeeming qualities to Man of Steel and BVS too. I think
absolutely.
they're
Yeah,
not my cup of tea, but that opening scene in BVS with the end of Man of Steel from Bruce's perspective on the guard, that was really cool.
yeah, absolutely.
Good sequence, and it showed Snyder like taking the criticism to heart. I felt, because the end of Man of Steel is very violent and upsetting, and I really hated it. But
Oh yeah, like because it's just a bunch of punching through the air.
and I hated it mostly because I didn't get an indication from the way the fight was choreographed and shot that Superman was trying to like minimize damage. It just felt like he was punching Zod through as many buildings as Zod was punching him through. I don't know if that's actually what happened, but it felt that way. And
I mean, yeah, the only time where it felt like he was trying to protect people was when he broke his neck. When he was like trying to laser beam those people. It's like, yeah, okay, that's the only time. But every other moment, he's flying through buildings.
Yeah, and if you're gonna do that, you gotta have a scene earlier in the movie where Superman is in a situation where he could kill someone and shows that he doesn't want to. Because like now all we have that movie and all we see is like Superman murders a man. I mean, he had to, but we are never shown him choosing not to murder someone.
Yeah,
which is weird, but that's Man of Steel.
Yeah. Well, either way, I'll watch this movie.
I will too.
I'm sure that I'll find some good moments in it.
Yeah. I mean, Snyder visually is great. He has a lot of like very, I don't know if pretty is the right word, but he does compose shots well sometimes. Very visually faithful to the comics he adapts.
Yeah, and I do like all the actors and the characters
Yeah,
they play. Like even if Ben Affleck doesn't come back as Batman, I do appreciate his Batman.
Yeah, I really liked his Batman, other than the murdering, but
yeah.
And I like Jeremy Irons' Alfred too.
Yeah, he was good in that.
And J.K. Simmons is Gordon, Commissioner Gordon.
Yeah, that's
in the one scene that he's in.
We gotta catch that Spider-Man, Batman. You hear me?
Oh yeah, he's back too. Jameson strikes again. I guess that's a good transition over to Marvel and our segment.
Move over to the main story that we got after all those other news stories that we had.
Yeah, so we're gonna talk about WandaVision so far, and that's the first 4 episodes. Let's do non-spoilers for a little bit, and then we'll stop and we'll call out when we're gonna go into spoilers and theories and stuff like that. If you have not watched WandaVision, don't watch that part, please, because it's a really good show, and I don't want to ruin it for you. But yeah, let's start with some general impressions on the first half of WandaVision. What are you thinking?
I'm really liking it. I am actually really liking it. It's not as trippy as I was expecting it to be. I was expecting it to be a little bit weirder and stranger and all that stuff. It hasn't like blown me away just yet, but I know that they're building and they're building, and they're eventually going to get to a point later on in the series where it's just going to be like boom, and I'm just going to be floored.
Yeah.
I feel like that's going to come, but just so far, even though it's been very interesting, and I want to know more about what Wanda's doing and why she's in this town and all this other stuff. I feel like there's still some digging to do.
Yeah.
Got to get to that gold.
Are you at this point, are you missing the traditional Marvel stuff, like the action and the powers and stuff like that? Or are you fine without it for now? Because a lot of people seem to be frustrated by it. I'm not, but what are you thinking?
I'm not frustrated by that at all. Honestly, I'm glad to see that they're trying something that's so different,
Yeah.
Like when I think of Marvel, I do think of, a bunch of punching. I feel like action. I think of, Iron Man flying through the sky. I think of Chris Evans throwing his shield, and I think of, Thor, shooting his bolts of lightning and spinning his hammer and stuff, And I do really, Infinity War and Endgame, those big mashup movies were just incredible. Like what you were saying earlier. There's nothing quite like opening night of Endgame. That was like a once in a
For
lifetime.
yeah, it's and it shouldn't work is one of the other amazing things. Like
Mhm.
if someone walked into a room and explained Infinity War Endgame to me as a movie or the two-part movie, it's two movies,
Yeah.
but I'd be like, there's no way you could make this work. There's too much going on, but it does. Um,
hmm
but
Yeah. And I mean, um, I do kind of wish that there was a little bit more action because,
mhm,
at least in those first two episodes where it was all black and white, I remember thinking like once or twice through those episodes being like, this is a little slow. It's
okay.
missing something. Like, yeah, there's some good like interesting things like Wanda moving the stuff with her powers, like moving the dishes and stuff.
Well, let's hold on. I mean, that's not really a spoiler, but
Yeah, it's not. I was trying to. Yeah, I was
yeah,
trying to
let's
think.
keep the specifics for just a minute. But
Yeah, totally. But
yeah,
I think
I get what you're saying. I
yeah.
don't personally feel that like just because I'm enjoying the weirdness and the difference of it.
hmm
I get where people are coming from though, because the audience has been conditioned over the last 2008 was Iron Man, so 10,
Yeah.
12, 13, 12 years and a month basically of these movies. Yeah, they've been action adventure with comedy elements, and I get the frustration that it's not that, but also I'm it's so fresh to me.
hmm
And it's in my opinion, if WandaVision and what they're doing is an indication of what the MCU's future is, like it's going to be better than it ever has been. It,
Absolutely.
because its commitment to what it's doing is so good, and I think even as a sitcom, which is it basically just is a sitcom for a while, I think it's pretty funny and charming. Um,
Yeah, wholeheartedly agree. And I would also say after so many years of so many movies
mhm,
where it's like you know you have a hero, you have an antagonist, and this is their story of how they overcome that
mhm.
antagonists overcome like their own personal growth and become the superhero at the end of the movie. We've seen that so many times in the
Yeah, the origin
MCU.
story is so played out, which is
Yeah.
why I'm glad they aren't doing it so much anymore. Like Black
Mhm.
Panther, he is Black Panther already. The origin
Yeah.
happened. We didn't see it because we didn't need to. Um, and yeah, I mean, I guess most of the other characters got origins, but Black Widow's not an origin story.
Yeah. But like we've had plenty of that with like Iron Man and Captain
Hmm.
America and to a lesser extent Thor, I suppose. But we've had all these like one-off movies where I feel like I can predict how the movie's going to go
Yeah.
from
Hmm.
not every single element of the movie per se, but I
Right.
can
The
predict
structure, it's the same.
yeah,
Yeah.
I can, structurally speaking, yeah, it's the same kind of movie. So it's nice to see something that's so different from that. That's
Hmm.
taking the formula that we're expecting and just disregarding that entirely.
Yeah, and that's why I'm excited for Loki too. I think Loki's going to be equally wacky.
Oh yeah,
I think Falcon and the Winter Soldier is going to be great too, but I'm a little worried about that one coming right off of WandaVision because and this is just my gut feeling, I could totally be wrong, but I feel like Falcon and Winter Soldier is the show that's going to feel most like Marvel, like formulaic Marvel. And
yeah.
I think it's going to do that really well, but I'm worried for it coming off of the strangeness that is WandaVision. Because it starts the week after WandaVision ends.
Oh, I didn't know it was that quick.
Yeah,
That's
I think Disney's plan is to have a Marvel show on at all times, so we never unsubscribe. uh,
smart. Yeah,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
smart.
good business. It's nothing
Something
personal.
Star Wars or Marvel related always,
Hmm.
please.
Yeah. Um, one more thing before spoilers. Do you think that someone who has not watched all of the MCU to this point could watch and enjoy WandaVision?
That's a great question. I think that they probably could. Honestly,
Okay.
if you came into this with at least a bare bones knowledge of
Hmm.
of who the Avengers are or were,
Yeah.
I think that you could definitely enjoy this film, excuse me, this
Show. Yeah.
series.
Yeah.
But I think there's also a lot of contextual stuff in there that
Hmm.
um, like pulls into the larger story.
Yeah.
Like if you don't know what happened after or what happened in Infinity War or
Yeah, especially Infinity War.
yeah, if you don't know what happened there, you're gonna be like a little bit confused watching the series. I think you'll be like, why is this happening?
Yeah, I think you'd miss out on why the creepy stuff is creepy in Division because you don't know that context. And yeah, and I kind of agree. I think when it's full sitcom, like the first 2 episodes mostly are, I kind of agree with you, but especially as it goes on into the later episodes, especially the most recent one, like that one more than anything, I think the non-Marvel audience is going to get lost, and I think that's okay. But I'm assuming Kevin Feige and them are smart enough to realize that this show is shrinking their audience. It's much more niche in a lot of ways, and I think the Marvel audience overall might shrink just a bit because you have to watch WandaVision probably to understand Doctor Strange 2, where Elizabeth Olsen is the co-lead of that movie. So we'll see. But you want to do spoilers so we can just unleash?
Yeah, let's do it. Why not?
Let's do we'll do a little countdown. A little spoilers in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Skip to the time code that I'll put in the video to avoid spoilers because we'll transition to other stuff afterward.
Good thinking. Good thinking.
Yeah, got that editor brain going. Holy shit, that jump scare with Vision.
Oh yes.
Oh my god. That was so
Oh yeah, that's definitely I think the biggest like jump, like the biggest like weirdest thing so far is that because I don't know. A part of me is like wondering, is that actually Vision's body that she's kind of
I guess it is.
Or is it like a repressed memory? You know what I mean? Like maybe because at least from what I'm understanding is that everyone that's in the show right now, her little show, is a real person, but they're
at least most of them. Although I didn't notice this because I am not observant and I don't rewind and watch all this stuff, but there are 2 characters in the town that were not put up on the missing persons board that Randall Park and Kat Dennings, Darcy from Thor, the first 2 Thors, were putting together. And those 2 are Agnes, the Catherine Hahn character, who's like coming over all the time.
Her, yes.
Yeah, and Dottie, the like woman that Wanda was trying to impress and broke her hand on the glass.
Oh, both of those 2.
Yeah, so those apparently didn't appear on the missing persons board, which is interesting.
Do you think that they could be like someone manipulating Wanda who's in there, or could it be like somebody that she's imagining so hard they're just coming to life?
Yeah, I hesitate to theorize too much on them because they're not my theories originally, but apparently there is a character in the comics called Agatha who is a witch who trains Scarlet Witch, which is Wanda, on a lot of her powers, and people think Agnes might be her. And they're like, they're frenemies, sometimes friends, sometimes enemies. Dottie, I have no idea. There's also theories about this character, Mephisto, manipulating things, who I know nothing about.
Yeah, me neither.
I still, and I think episode 4 confirms this pretty much, but Wanda is at least partially responsible for what's going on in that town. Like,
absolutely.
This is her little fantasy that she's made, and I hope they don't go full supervillain with her because I like her as a character. I like her more now than I ever have. But it was interesting.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, it's interesting, like considering the formatting of it all. You know, the first 3 episodes are all sitcom, you know, and you might have like those little blips of weirdness, like him speaking in through the radio, or like, you know, the show going like just doing the cut frame and then jump into like the next scene, you know, and then all of a sudden the 4th episode, it's no longer a show. Like it's
I think we're going back to it. The show.
Oh yes, I think the next episode will return to it. But it is
because the title of this episode was "We Now Interrupt This Program."
Yeah.
Which I thought was, I love the episode names too. They're so clever.
Yeah, they're clever.
The 3rd one was WandaVision in color, or Now in Color.
I liked that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I love the in episode 3, WandaVision now in color. When Vision is starting to realize, like, I think something's wrong, and Wanda just rewinds and redoes it. I like that short because it establishes her doing that earlier in the show, and we see it rewind when she sees the beekeeper guy.
Yeah.
No, and it rewinds, and I appreciated that now they've just established a shorthand. It's just we're back. We're doing a different thing, and I feel so for Vision. Poor Vision, man. He doesn't know.
Yeah, poor Vision. He's got no idea what's going on.
He's gonna. Ugh.
You know, the one thing that I will say about the 4th episode, though, is that I was a little disappointed at how quickly it knocked through all those things.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Like
how quickly it recapped what we've seen so far.
Yeah, or the first 3 episodes, you get like small, like you get like 1 or 2 things every episode that are like weird, like the helicopter in the front yard, or like the guy speaking over the radio, the beekeeper, and then this episode just like bam, 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 bam. This is how we explain all of that, and that's okay, I'd say.
Yeah.
But I feel like you could have lengthened that out a little bit more,
right?
Perhaps. I don't know.
It may be because they knew that the like average Marvel fan might start to get impatient with what WandaVision is, and they have in a lot of ways, and so they wanted to get the typical Marvel stuff in. For me, it at the very beginning of the episode, I was like, I think this is gonna be my least favorite episode because I've been enjoying the weirdness of the sitcom format, but I really liked it. And that the beginning with Monica in the hospital where they're all blipping back in.
Yeah.
That showed a totally different side to the blip than we've seen before, because in Endgame, like, it's just a good thing. Yay, they're back. And then in Spider-Man Far From Home, it's treated as very comedic. Remember the marching band just reappeared in the middle of the basketball game? It's so funny.
But all the age difference is closed.
Yeah, I mean, this was really terrifying, and especially in the world we live in now, talking about hospital bed capacity and stuff like that, that just added a whole other really unsettling element, because all of a sudden all these people that were in the hospital that disappeared are back. And
they just fall on top of the cancer patient. And
oh god, did you remember who Monica Rambeau is? We've met this character before.
Which one is she? She's
the agent who got sucked in. But
No, I don't remember who she is. Yeah.
She is the little kid in Captain Marvel. Her mom. Who died is Carol Danvers' pilot friend. And Monica Rambeau is supposed to be a big character moving forward in Marvel.
I'm okay with that. She's really neat. I like.
Yeah, I liked her a lot. She was just a cool, badass character. And I liked Randall Park coming back. I can't remember his character's name, but he was and too. He kept trying to bust Scott for breaking out, and he just never could.
And then now he knows the close-up magic and stuff. Like, I think
and I saw something on Twitter the other day where they're like, "Can we just get an entire show of with Jimmy Woo? I think is his character's name. It's like just Jimmy Woo investigating different paranormal superpower things, like X-Files in the MCU."
I'm all for that. More John Krasinski.
Yeah, John Krasinski is Mr. Fantastic. That would be great.
Well, I was just in The Office, that same actor plays Jim.
Oh, yes, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, Randall Park. He's funny. I like him.
Yeah, he's a good one.
Yeah. What did you think about Darcy returning? Did you even remember that character?
I did. Yeah. I mean, it's nice to see her back.
Mm-hmm.
The thing about her though is that she's kind of just a one-note character. So you know what I mean? Like, she's.
Yeah, I really did not like her in the first 2 Thor movies. I thought she was super annoying, but I liked her in this. I thought she works a lot better now.
I didn't mind her in the Thor movies. I thought she was fine, and she was definitely needed for a lot of the things that were going on in the film. So it's good that she was there, but I would agree that she's not my favorite character. Hopefully she changes and grows a little bit, because I think that her only thing ever is just technology. I'm going to be the one to figure it out.
Yeah, and she was always comedic relief, which I don't think the Thor movies, maybe the Thor movies did need comedic. I thought Thor was the comedic relief in the first one, because he's like the fish out of water. Remember walking into the pet shop? He's like, I need a horse.
Yeah. another throws the
yeah,
cup down.
yeah. The drink, I like it. Another. I I like her in this though. I think she works better now, and the comedicness was a little bit more refined in my opinion with her. And I have nothing against the actress or the character, so it's like great. Bring people back who got moved out of earlier movies, like Jane Foster's coming back, Darcy's coming back. I'd like to see Dr. Selvig come back, Stellan Skarsgård's character. I liked him.
That'd be cool.
But where do you think WandaVision's going? How do you think this is all going to end? Because I think it's going to be devastating. I think it's going to go very poorly for Wanda.
Yeah, I think something bad is going to happen to those kids somehow. I don't know what it is.
Do you think the kids are even real kids?
I don't really know at this point. A part of me does think that they might be one of the few things that's like real. Like maybe she actually did give birth to 2 new kids there, and like somehow playing into the.
She does manipulate probability or something in the comics, so maybe she manipulated the probability of somehow becoming impregnated by a dead robot and made it so it happened.
Yeah, and then manipulated so it'd be twins and all that. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, maybe the kids have something to do with it because if they're real kids and they're kids of Vision and Wanda, oh boy, I can only imagine what kind of powers those kids have got.
If they went really dark, those kids could be some of the missing persons. That would be terrible.
That would be.
I don't think they're gonna go that dark with it because that would paint Wanda in a really bad light.
Yeah. I think I don't know because this is leading up to
the multiverse of madness.
The multiverse of madness. The next series with Falcon and
Winter Soldier.
Winter Soldier. Thank you. So I think that there's definitely going to be, because of that multiverse, there's definitely, she's going to have a role in, I feel like, opening up the multiverse a little bit more.
And since she's the lead in Doctor Strange too, it's Benedict Cumberbatch and her, and like Rachel McAdams is in it too, like the first one, but they've said Elizabeth Olsen is the female lead of Doctor Strange too.
Yeah. So. But I could definitely see like something along those lines, like maybe by the end of the this series, like her kids get taken from her or something like that. She somehow wakes up but the kids are taken from her and she has to go to Doctor Strange in the next movie to get help finding her kids.
Oh, okay.
Because that could be something about the whole multiverse of madness, is it's like this whole search for the kidnappers, or maybe not. Maybe that's too much of a time gap for us to get some resolution for the story.
Do you know anything about the story House of M from the comics?
House of M, no.
Okay, I don't know much about it, but there's this is probably the most famous Scarlet Witch moment from the comic books, but I don't remember exactly what leads up to it, but in a panel of the comic, she just says, "No more mutants." And almost all of the mutant kind loses their abilities.
Whoa.
Leaving only like 190 total mutants or something like that. And my thought I'm having, since Disney owns the X-Men again, is this could be maybe a reverse of that. Maybe she somehow brings mutants into the equation, because there are mutants in the MCU Earth right now. And in the comic, she and Quicksilver are Magneto's kids.
Yeah, that's right.
They aren't in the MCU because they couldn't do Magneto. But yeah, so maybe that's how we introduce mutants, through that and the multiverse combined. Like, that's a good way to bring them in. I don't think MCU needs the mutants, honestly, but I think they have plenty of stuff to work with. But they're going to bring them in. They're one of their most popular brands.
Absolutely. Well, then I guess that brings up the question, because I heard that they're teasing like some big character reveal later down the season. So do you think that could be like Doctor Strange?
Was it a big character or a big actor? I don't remember.
I don't know. I think it was supposed to be like a big character, like just a mystery character. Like I don't know if they were like necessarily like a big name like Thor,
right?
But maybe it could be something like, if it does take that route of like blending the multiverse together and it brings the X-Men into the fold, maybe it could be one of the X-Men.
Would you want, when the X-Men are inevitably brought in, would you want the Fox X-Men actors to play the characters again?
I think so.
Would you want the prequel generation or the old generation?
Probably the newer generation,
Yeah,
honestly.
you could get more mileage out of them because I want that too.
Yeah.
I want to see Fassbender and McAvoy play Professor X and Magneto, play Magneto and Professor X respectively to old age. I think that would
Yeah.
be really cool to see them age up together, but I it would confuse people and piss people off. And I
I
know
mean, they could.
people want a Wolverine that's actually short. I don't care about that, but a lot of people are very passionate about Wolverine's height.
Oh,
But I agree. I'd like to see the prequel cast return, and you could get Daphne King, who played Laura in Logan. She could be
oh yeah,
Wolverine.
that'd be fun.
I don't think we need Logan in movies anymore. He's had,
Oh yeah,
and I don't. Hugh Jackman is my Wolverine. I don't
he's
need
done.
another one.
Yeah, he's done. He capped off that character perfectly, and yeah, I mean, just I wouldn't mind seeing like Ian McKellen or Patrick
Mhm.
Stewart play that role again, but like I don't want them to be the only character that's going to play that
Yeah.
role because they're
I
getting
think.
so old. And
Yeah,
they don't want
I
to.
think I heard Patrick Stewart met with Kevin Feige. So
That could then
something.
maybe it could just be like a 1 or 2 scene thing,
Mhm.
and then
Yeah.
assuming the multiverse is a thing, then you can just bring in the
Right.
other Professor X.
Mhm. Yeah, that's true.
Something
I'm interested to see how they handle it. I'm kind of worried, and I know I'm in the minority of this, but I think the introduction of mutants could overcrowd the MCU. But maybe it won't. And Feige isn't a stupid guy. He knows what he's doing. So
Well, I mean, the introduction of mutants brings along, a whole different array of villains. I feel like too, because
That's true.
you're gonna get your good mutants, but you're gonna get your bad ones too.
Mhm.
So that's a whole new host or a whole new roster of options.
Yeah,
For,
Magneto could be a great overarching villain for like a new Thanos, a different type of Thanos, but a new.
Yeah.
Norman Osborn could be that too. Doctor Doom could be that. They have Doctor Doom again and Fantastic Four is confirmed to be getting made in the far future. But
that'll be neat. Yeah, or
they're
like
also making Blade, so vampires are going to exist now.
Excellent. Who's
Mahershala Ali is playing Blade.
Excellent.
So good.
That is perfect.
Yeah,
perfect casting.
I remember when it first got announced, people were like, "Ooh, you should have Wesley Snipes come back and play the villain of Blade. That would be fun." But what do you think is going to be Vision's fate after this show? Do you think this is the last we see of Vision?
Yes and no. I say that because I don't think at the end of this series he's going to be alive. No amount of like Vision or about Wanda's influence can bring him back to life. I feel like. Could be wrong about that, but I feel like at the end of this series, he's still going to be that same old body that Thanos plucked the crystal from.
Oh.
Yeah, poor guy, or the gem, not.
Yeah, the Mind Stone.
Stone. What am I saying?
They were gems in the comics. It's fine.
Yeah, whatever. He's got the bling.
I think bling.
Yeah, Thanos. It's all about the bling, man.
Yeah.
But I think I was going somewhere with this.
Vision's gonna be dead, but
so Vision's gonna be dead. But if the multiverse is still a thing, then there could be a possibility of where they bring Vision from another universe and bring him to the central one.
Right. Just like Chris Evans is apparently in talks to return as Steve Rogers in some form.
Yeah.
But I hope it's multiverse. Steve's story ended so perfectly. I don't want to see him again.
Yeah, exactly.
I would love a twist if it's like it seems like Steve is back in action, but it's evil Steve.
Yeah.
Different dimension. Like that would be
fun. Yeah, or like the Hydra agent,
Yeah, exactly. Like that. But it's like maybe he pretends to be our Captain America for like a movie, and the twist is he's really been Hydra, really a bad whatever guy. They called him.
Yeah. I mean, but going back to Vision, like I did make a note of this because for so long I feel like out of all the times that we've seen Vision in the MCU, I feel like he's been nerfed significantly.
Yeah.
Like at least when he was like introduced in Age of Ultron, he kind of felt like the first Superman character. or
Okay.
equivalent.
Yeah.
Thor is kind of up there too, but Vision is kind of like indestructible. He can shoot like a laser beam. He can fly. He's
He
super
can go
strong.
through walls.
Yeah, he can phase through things. He's like
Hmm.
super cool. He's like kind of like their Superman. But
That's
then
true.
in Age of Ultron, he kind of had just one job: take care of Ultron.
Mhm.
And the next one, he was just kind of a babysitter for Wanda. So we didn't really see a lot
And
of
then
his
accidentally
powers.
shoots Rhodey out of the sky.
Yeah, he accidentally cripples him. And then the next movie, um, in Infinity War, he's basically stabbed through the back real quick,
Yeah, he does get
movie,
nerfed
and
in
then he
Infinity
can't do
War. That's
anything
true.
for the rest of the movie.
Yeah, he can't
And he
transmutate
just
or whatever he
dies
calls
really
it.
quickly. And
Yeah.
now, of course, the MCU has now their superhero character of like Captain Marvel, like she is
Mhm.
OP as hell, which is
Mhm.
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I
But
think it's
like
cool.
Vision,
I love when Thanos has to fucking cheat basically to get
yeah,
back. He's blocking his Infinity Gauntlet, and he just like that's such a great moment because you don't expect Captain Marvel to be able to hold him off like that, and then she
Yeah.
does, and Thanos is like, what the fuck? And then I just love Brie Larson's acting in that moment when he takes the Power Stone out, and she's like, oh shit, right as he
yeah,
like it's
Bang.
a great exchange. It's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. But
I wish she
I
was in
mean,
that movie a little bit more, honestly, but
yeah, she was.
it wasn't her story yet. I get it, but
Mhm.
yeah,
But I mean,
I think Vision stays dead, and I think he should, as much as it hurts me because I really like Vision in this show specifically. I like Elizabeth Olsen a lot, and I like Wanda a lot, but
yeah,
this is the first time I've like found Vision endearing. Um, Paul Bettany is such a good actor. I've been a fan of him since I saw him in A Knight's Tale, where he played Geoffrey Chaucer. I
oh
saw
yes,
the movie so long ago, but I think this is the end of Vision's being alive, main Vision at least.
absolutely,
I'm
yeah,
in the same boat as you.
yeah. And I what I really like about the series so far is that we're getting to see more of Vision because
Mhm.
yeah, and whenever we've seen him, he's been nerfed. He's just been not like a significant character in the story. So it's nice to see him kind of brought
Mhm.
to the forefront. And the
Yeah.
same with Wanda too. She's always kind of felt like a little bit more of a background
Yeah.
character
I'm
sometimes.
excited to see her more in the forefront going forward.
Yes, yes. So it's
'Cause
nice to like.
I feel like we were promised her in the forefront as far back as Age of Ultron, and it never really happened. So
Yeah,
it's good to see her getting time to shine. And I love Elizabeth Olsen. I'm gonna love it so much when they get to I think the '90s era of sitcom because Full House, which is where her sisters Mary Kate and Ashley got.
yes.
So it's gonna be a whole like I feel like they're gonna have a lot of fun with that.
She'll have all the curly hair and the
Mhm.
pigtails. It's gonna look great.
Yeah,
She's
and
so beautiful.
I love the sitcom element so much of it and how they're able to get us invested in what's going on. Like in the first episode, it's like, Vision's boss is coming to dinner and they're
Yeah,
having a misunderstanding. I'm like, guys, you got to work it out. You got to figure out what you're doing.
yeah.
And it was so funny and then went to creepy so smoothly. And I
Mhm.
love it when he's at the office talking to his coworker. He's like, what do we do here? Exactly. Like, what's our job?
Yeah,
We do reports, but on what? Well, I don't know.
yeah. That's cyclical. It's just I have no idea what we do. We
Yeah,
make money.
and when Paul Bettany said that they had a big character or actor, this is why I thought it was actor initially, but I could be wrong. My assumption, just because I thought it would be fun, was that it was going to be Dick Van Dyke from the Van Dyke Show, which I don't think it's actually going to be him, but Dick Van Dyke actually consulted on the show to
That's
get the
cool.
feel of the first couple episodes right, which I really love.
Yeah, I mean,
5-year-old Dick Van Dyke consulting on a Marvel property. How cool is that?
it's good to see him puttering around, still doing something.
Yeah.
Getting to
Go him.
society,
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I do appreciate the sitcom feel to it, and
Mhm.
I've never really watched too many of those older sitcoms. I think like the oldest sitcom I ever watched was MASH.
Yeah, I love MASH.
Yeah,
MASH is great.
MASH is solid.
Do you
Definitely.
think you will now that you've seen this? Did what you saw in the first couple episodes appeal to you enough to go watch like Dick Van Dyke Show and Bewitched and stuff like that?
No, I don't think I'll ever watch Bewitched, Leave It to Beaver, or the Dick Van Dyke Show. Um, because there's also like Disney did a good job of walking like a line with this, because you look at a lot of those older sitcoms and it's like, wow, this is really um,
Racist.
racist and misogynistic, and
Yeah, that's
it
true.
just kind of reinforces these weird, um, gender and social norms.
Mm-hmm.
So they did a good job of kind of like, still showing that to a degree, but not being like overtly
Yeah,
misogynistic
that's a fair
or
point. I
yeah,
I'm intrigued enough to check out the Dick Van Dyke Show. But yeah, you're right. Those elements are going to be there. But I
yeah,
think I think that part of the fun of WandaVision is that it played into those sitcom tropes, and
mm,
people of older generations who watch WandaVision are going to be like, "Oh my god, I watched this when I was a little kid," and
yeah,
they're doing it so well. Like that's fun. And the cool part about the Marvel brand now is you can do that, and people are going to watch it. Obviously, some people are frustrated with WandaVision for being so weird and not superhero-y, but
mhm.
I think like embrace that a little bit. Let Marvel stretch their muscles a little bit, and I think we're gonna have more rewarding stories going forward.
Yeah. And what's also something that's kind of interesting about this phase is it's like kind of playing on the perception of reality a little bit more now,
Mm-hmm.
especially with Spider-Man: Homecoming. Like that was
So
like
far from the Mysterio's thing.
not a stereo thing, like that whole thing, um, questioning your own perception of
Mm-hmm.
reality. I think that's going to
Yeah,
be like a central tenet of
that
at
would
least
be
the first
cool.
two Marvel projects, because that's clearly representative here, like what's real,
Mm-hmm.
what's not. And I bet that'll be prevalent in Doctor Strange,
Doctor
maybe even
Strange, yeah.
in Bucky and um,
Bucky
uh,
and Sam. The
Bucky and
Adventures of
Sam.
Bucky and Sam.
Bucky and Sam. I'm not gonna remember the other one.
Once it starts, you'll remember the name because you'll see it every
Yeah,
week on the show.
totally. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Any more thoughts on WandaVision?
One thing I did also write down here was like a small aspect about the predictability of the show.
Uh-huh.
Uh, like I know it's very weird so far, but I feel like even if you like watch the trailer,
Mm-hmm.
up to these 4 episodes so far, I feel like it's been, I don't know, a little bit easy to predict, or at least kind of
Okay.
like in line with what I was expecting with the show
Yeah.
so far. Because I was like, there's definitely going to be some sitcom elements. You
Mm-hmm.
watch the trailer, you're going to be like, okay, yeah, there's going to be several episodes where she's just going to be on a progressing sitcom, and so far that's been true. And then
Yeah.
there, but I've always kind of expected that she was in her own little realm, as I'm
Uh-huh.
sure other people expected or predicted that she's in her own little bubble, and there's something sinister going on there, and there's going
Yeah.
to be an outside force investigating in on that. And I feel like that's
Mhm.
all kind of come true so far. So I feel like
Yeah, that's true. It's definitely delivering on what the marketing promised.
absolutely, absolutely it is. But I think it'll definitely improve because they got like what 4 more episodes left or something like that.
They have five, I think.
Oh, five. Yeah. So I mean, there's still
Yeah, five.
plenty of
Mm-hmm.
ground to cover. So anything can happen at this point. I think we're all kind of caught up with what our expectations have been so far.
Mm-hmm.
So there's definitely going to be some new and exciting
Yeah.
things.
One thing though, I think because I agree, it has been relatively predictable if you followed the marketing for it and everything. And I
Sure.
mean, Paul Bettany explained what this show was years ago, or
Mhm.
a year ago at least. So I like it's a little weird that so many people are I guess if you don't pay attention to news updates and stuff, you're not going to know all that. But one thing that I did not necessarily predict is the in the trailer you see all those like armored trucks and stuff coming in, and Wanda's like, this is our home, and Vision replies, then let's fight for it. I my initial impression was that those armored trucks and stuff were like Hydra or bad guys or some AIM or something.
Yeah.
But now I think it's Sword, and it changes my entire understanding of what that conflict might be, because Sword is trying to help Wanda right now.
Yeah.
We can kind of know that, and they have good guys on their side who we've known for several movies. So it's like we like Sword at this point, presumably, and it seems like it's going to be Wanda who is in the antagonist role a little bit in that conflict, which is, or not antagonist necessarily because she is our protagonist, but she's going to be the instigator of this conflict, it seems like, and maybe manipulating Vision or what's left of him to follow her lead, and that might. I don't think and don't want her to go evil, like I said earlier, but I think that might be what she maybe accidentally causes some rupture in reality beyond what she intended, and that causes multiverse of madness.
Yeah, and I'm definitely curious to see what like her reasoning was behind to like, because I don't know if she created this place on her own. You know, I'm sure she didn't. I'm sure like other external forces are influencing this.
Yeah.
You know, as we can see from the broadcast, it's being edited in real time or whatever.
Yeah. Do you think that's her, or do you think that's someone else?
I want to say that's someone else.
Okay.
Honestly. I do. Like even though it's being put out there and like it's her show, I feel like yeah, I feel like someone else might be pulling the strings a little bit in the background, whatever that is. But you know, because this has just come off of Endgame, so you know, even though they beat Thanos and stuff, she still doesn't have vision. And
she didn't get her happiness returned.
Yeah, if 5 years haven't passed for her, it's been immediate. You know, just last week, Vision died.
So yeah, that's true. I guess we don't know how far after Endgame this is, but still, it's probably within a year, I would imagine.
Absolutely.
No, it is, because we see Monica come back, and then she goes straight to Sword. So it's, yeah, you're right. It's probably within a month.
Yeah, so she's probably like, it's probably just her way of dealing with the grief of it. But
Coping,
there's definitely some other things in there. Like it's a coping mechanism for sure. There's it'll be definitely interesting to see what happens in these final 5 or 4 episodes.
Yeah.
How they tie it.
And I was gonna say something, but I forgot. Oh well. Damn.
We in no rush.
Yeah. Well, that's fine.
You can record it on your own if you want.
Yeah, it's whatever. Cool. Want to close out WandaVision segment then? Call it quits?
Sure, yeah. Yeah, I'm excited to see what comes next. For
Likewise.
This. I know that we'll do a follow-up episode on our final thoughts for the season.
Yeah, once the season's done, we'll come back and do a full season review, kind of, and we'll see if our theories are right. That'll be fun.
Well, yeah, I mean, you know, for all the talk that they talk about, like for the children in the town, I feel like there's something to do with those kids of hers.
Oh,
you know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sure other people's got some good thoughts of what's going on. So I mean, if you guys.
Oh, I remembered. Sorry.
Oh yeah. Go for it.
I read yesterday. Yeah, yesterday that the in-universe, like we're seeing 50s episode, 60s episode, 70s episode, but in universe there are full seasons of each decade. So what Darcy and Jimmy Woo are watching is like a full season of 50s WandaVision and then 60s WandaVision and 70s WandaVision. So we're only seeing little bits of the sitcom, which I thought was interesting.
That is interesting. That kind of puts it in a different light. Yeah. I thought that they were just seeing the same episodes that we were.
So did I.
I'm curious, because I know that they have those credits flying by on the screen too, you know, at the end of every episode. The sitcom episodes and stuff like that. So I'm wondering, you know, who are those people?
Yeah. Who have you stayed to the end credits of every episode just in case the credits scene? Oh my God, I've done it every week. I'm so conditioned. And I'm sure there will be one at the end of the series, but I don't think there's going to be one in between, but I'm still going to do it every time.
True Marvel fan right there.
Yeah, well, I mean, the post-credit scenes matter for this series. Like, they've become increasingly important.
Absolutely, they have. Yeah, I mean, we'll definitely get at least one by the end of the series.
Teasing Falcon and Winter Soldier, probably, or Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah, one of the two. They'll tie it together somehow.
Yeah. Well, let's get to our last segment then, I guess. We don't have a name for it, but you watch anything cool recently? Read anything? Play anything? What's your?
Oh man, lately I've been just plowing through The Wire on HBO Max.
Okay.
You know, I know everyone. It's the show's definitely gotten like a reputation as being like, you know, the best show ever made.
Yeah.
Or whatever. You know, like everyone knows that about it. And you know, sometimes I feel like it's definitely used as like a joke. But I just love this show.
That's awesome.
I watch it I'll watch like 2 episodes in a row, even though they're like hour-long episodes, and they're just phenomenal because you know it deals with drugs and police, crime and homelessness and poverty and corrupt politics, all in the city of Baltimore, Maryland, and it examines the ideas of what's moral, what's not, and the fact that everything's not black and white. Everything's kind of a mixed bag of everything. And I know that there's so much content out there for you to watch and enjoy, read, and play and stuff like that. But if you have a watch list, The Wire must be on your list.
Yeah, it's on my list. I shamefully have not seen it. How far into it are you?
I just started the 4th season yesterday.
Okay. Are there 6 or 7?
There's 5 seasons.
5 seasons. Okay. Oh, you're almost done.
Yeah, but each season deals with like a different thing. It's still all related to like drugs and crime and stuff like that. But like the first season is like, more focused on like the Barksdale people. This one gang in Baltimore that's like streamlining the heroin distribution. And then the next season's like focused more on like the docks. How is the heroin getting into the city? Who's the wholesale distributor?
Okay.
The season I'm in right now is looking more at like the schools in Baltimore and like the youth and how they're like subjugated into becoming drug dealers and stuff like that. It's definitely an interesting show. I'd highly recommend that check it out if you're looking for another drama series or something that's to fill that gaping void in your life where you have nothing going on.
I will definitely look into that. That sounds super cool.
Yeah. What about you? What are you watching, playing, or reading?
Yeah. Well, like I mentioned briefly earlier, I've been reading those Thor comics a little bit. I read 4 volumes of it, and it just kind of the first 2 follow. We go from The Wire to fucking Thor. The first 2 volumes follow Thor like as he discovers the existence of Gore the God Butcher, who's like this guy. The character is basically his life just sucks. It's terrible, and he comes to the conclusion that, well, my life is so bad, so that must mean that there are no gods, because if they exist, why aren't they not answering my prayers? And then it just so happens that 2 gods are like fighting and crash on his planet, and Gore is just like, what the hell? So he makes it his mission to go kill every god he can find, and Thor has to fight him and hunt him down. And it spans from like Viking age to far future. You get to see King Thor, future King Thor. Like he has the destroyer arm, he has an eye patch and a big white beard. It's really cool. And then the next volumes introduce like Malekith, who is the villain of Thor 2. Way better villain in the comics than he is in that movie. He has like personality and stuff in the comic books. And it also introduces this like asshole CEO that Thor has to fight, and it's a different type of conflict because he can't just like beat the shit out of a CEO on Earth. And then that storyline all ends with the tease of female Thor coming in next. So that's where I'll pick up next. I'm reading Words of Radiance, the Stormlight Archive book, second one right now, and that's great so far. About 100 pages into that, and just been playing a lot of Hades. Did a couple runs last night. I've gotten to the point where different of the, not fates, what is Meg again? Furies. The other Fury sisters start showing up.
Oh yeah, that's kind of interesting.
So I've met them a couple times.
Have you made it to the 4th level?
No, the farthest I've gotten still is I haven't gotten back to Theseus and the Minotaur. So still working up to that. But I got new abilities. It's such a good game.
It's so solid.
Play Hades. Everyone in the world needs to play Hades. It's so good.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's on the Switch. I don't know if it's on anything else. But,
it's on PC.
PC, yeah. No, it is well worth. It was well worth playing. I've also played through Hades. Oh my gosh, it is so much fun. Like I've beaten it. Like I've escaped hell. But like I've definitely still gone back and I've played it again and again. Even though I keep dying and I keep dying and I keep dying, it's still fun. And there's so many different abilities that you can check out, and the mythology behind it.
And every weapon makes each run different. And the nice thing is, like, even though you die, it's not punishing because it's part of the story. So in other games like this, or just games in general, when you die, it's like a punishment generally, and you have to do stuff over again. But Hades, each run is different, and like you can talk to the characters. Hades makes fun of you every time you don't make it, and that's always funny. You get the dog,
Yeah, the dog Cerberus.
the pet Cerberus. Yeah,
Yeah, you can talk to like Ares and Aphrodite and
all the gods help you out. Yeah.
You know, Achilles is in there too, and so is Death Incarnate, and
Yeah, it's a great game. But that's
so
been
cool.
Yeah, just reading and Hades are basically all I do now.
Yeah, there's worse ways to spend your days, honestly.
This is true. Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
You got anything else going on? Any other things you're looking at?
Not really. I need to get better into my habit of reading. You know, sometimes it's just like, yeah, I'll just watch The Wire all day or something. You know,
Fair enough.
or I'll just be rewatching Rick and Morty, and I'm like, I should probably do something else with my time. But I've been doing some watercolor painting sometimes, and you know, it's also good to exercise and you know try testing your creative you know capabilities every now and then. So yeah, painting is always a good outlet, and writing down everything every day is always good. But
Yep.
I don't know what else. You know, we're just two guys recording a podcast.
This is true. We're doing a great job. Maybe the best. Yeah, I think eventually, if and when we have an audience, we'll put an audience question segment here. We don't have one right now, which is okay. But you know, maybe future things to come. And when that happens, if you want to like contact us, I guess on Twitter, we have a Twitter. It's at PPR_podcast, and on Instagram at PlayPauseRewind_pod. And yeah, that's our social handles. And where can people find you personally online, Niles?
Man, you can follow me on Instagram or message me on Instagram. I don't care. It's at Niles Got No Styles with a Z.
And I'll have that linked in the description too.
Yeah, I'm super cool. Niles with No Styles.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'll just put my Instagram for now. I don't get on Twitter. Twitter's too toxic for me. And
that is fair. My mental health has deteriorated since becoming active on Twitter.
And that's why we focus on movies and TV.
Yeah, escape. You can find me on Instagram as well. I'm at DylanD1026, and you can find me on Twitter because I have taken that leap for some reason. On Twitter, I am at D-Day Movies. And you can also find my YouTube channel, D-Day Movies. Find it through Instagram. You'll never find it on YouTube. No one watches it, and I got buried by World War II footage. A mistake.
Oh, well.
All of that will be linked in the description. And we, at this point in time, are planning on doing this podcast every 2 weeks. So you can always tune back in here. This will be on YouTube, and I'm going to work on getting it onto like Spotify and iTunes and Stitcher and whatever else people listen to podcasts on. We'll figure it out. We're new at this, but
yeah, we're just two guys recording a podcast.
That's exactly what we are. Nothing more, nothing less.
Yeah, I mean, our content will definitely evolve. You know, I'm sure that we'll do some deep dives on, you know, like Watchmen.
Do some retrospectives.
Yeah, absolutely. And
our infinite wisdom on pieces of media.
Yeah,
it's quite wise.
You can do like a point-by-point thing about why something works or whatever.
Yeah.
Leverage our everyday expertise.
Yes. Yeah. Always remember, get your movie news from us and no one else.
Play, pause, rewind.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's it's probably good to call it for the first episode. Yeah. This has been Play, Pause, Rewind, the inaugural episode. I'm excited to be doing this. So yeah, thank you for watching. If you made it this far, that's great. Don't know how long this thing was, so thank you.
Yeah, thank you guys so much.
All right.
See where this goes, I guess.
See you guys next episode.